someone asked me, actually, I was taking a picture with someone, and they said to me, okay, we're getting ready to stand, and they said, which is your best side? And I was like, I have a best side? Like, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I just posed.
And right here. Amazing.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah, a little bit of a kerfuffle getting here, but you're here.
Yes, I'm excited.
And you're here from LA,
Yes,
which is so amazing.
Very excited.
For anybody who doesn't know the gorgeousness that is you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a motivational speaker, supermodel, Canadian supermodel, the national demographic. I'm trying to branch into the international market, trying to go to like Europe, China. But yeah, so the journey continues. I really want to just explore the world and in the process inspire millennials to feel confident and comfortable in their skin and confident in who they are. Because growing up, that was my biggest challenge. Finding out who I was as an individual, recognizing, okay, maybe I've gone through certain circumstances that put me down or made me feel very insecure, but pushing through that, using that as a momentum to, allow yourself to transcend into a butterfly, more bigger and seek higher. Yeah.
Let's start. We're going to come back to the fact that you're transitioning and taking on this really important role of, inspiration and motivation. So we'll come back to that. But let's talk about the modeling. How and when did you first figure out that, I can work a catwalk?
So modeling, I think when I said yes, that I'm going to push forward with this career is when in 2014, when Miss Africa, the Face of African Fashion Week. And that was going in Toronto. And that's actually managed and presented by Anita Gaddafi and Isaac Ansa. And together they collaborated on such a project, which also developed self-esteem. I didn't place in the competition, which is actually something that bothered me initially, because I'm like, why didn't I even get anywhere with this, with this particular thing? I'm a Black woman, why didn't I place? But that actually caused the fire to now push me and propel me to now, seek out information on how to be an established model or how to gain insight in this career. Initially, I didn't want to go into an agency because I was very fearful of them rejecting me and putting me down, and just the
Why were you afraid? Was it because you were Black? Like, did you think being Black was a disadvantage to you? Like, what was it that made you fearful about going to an agent? What
made me fearful is the fact that I was bullied growing up, right? So I had the insecurity still very embedded in my mind, embedded in my existence, So I didn't know how to come out of that shell. I didn't know if I would hear the same repeated words, what I heard in the past through these peers being conversated throughout these agents. So when I actually made up my decision to go and apply to these agencies in 2015, I did hear some rejection, and I heard a lot of scam stories. And I did invest a lot of money and wasted a lot of money, but it was still a learning process, and that got me to, I guess, where I am today.
When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a ballerina or a singer. Like, I loved music. I loved Michael Jackson. I would put on the Thriller music, beat it, and just be in the mirror, have fun and all sorts of stuff. And, even being a ballerina, my mom didn't really have the funds to put me into school. So that was kind of a place where I felt defeated. I'm like, okay, so I don't know what to pursue or who to become or what to achieve. But as time went on, I felt like my destiny unveiled itself. And I'm still on that journey.
So you talked about growing up and being bullied. Tell me about some of the bullying that you experienced and how at that time did it make you feel?
Well, initially, when the bullying began, it was when I was in kindergarten. So when I was in kindergarten, they're saying, oh, she's a quiet girl. She doesn't really speak. I was very into my work. Whenever my teacher would give me schoolwork in the class, I'd just be very invested in that. I wouldn't really want to communicate with my peers. So from there, that's when it began. We were like, okay, she's so introverted. Why doesn't she want to play toys or involve herself with us? I was more comfortable with adults than people who were my age, because all my sisters were much more older than me. At the time, they were teenagers when I was roughly 4 to 5 years old. So I was okay to communicate with the teacher, but the students had a huge issue. And then it transcended even further when I had a house fire. I used to live in Scarborough. So So we had an apartment house fire. And when that had happened, we were homeless for a little bit. And then eventually we accumulated enough funds to now move into our own first home. And from owning a home, moved to Brampton, and then the bullying began because the schooling was now predominantly more Caucasian. And I was one of 3 African Americans in the school. So I was judged on my hair texture, my nose and skin complexion, saying, people were saying, oh my gosh, you're so dark. How are you mixed race? It doesn't make any sense. You don't look like the visual aspect of what I hear that a mixed person should look like. And that was where my challenge was. I did not know where to fit in. I felt like I was too big. I felt like, I wasn't able to really be myself. And in that process, I actually battled with anorexia nervosa, acne, breakouts, because I had skin contact dermatitis. And basically what that is that I was allergic to, dust mites and trees. So whenever I would touch any surface and if that transferred onto my hand and I touched my face, I would break out immediately. So I had to learn how to battle through all of that growing up. And even into the modeling industry, I had to figure out how to take care of my skin, because that's a big thing. If your organs or your exterior is not presented into the most aesthetically beautiful manner, then they're not going to take you seriously or want to even book you for campaigns or ads and stuff like that. So that's where I guess my challenges began.
And so what made you, so with all of that and, you're being told you're not beautiful, you don't look like, what made you think even about going into modeling? So through the encounter of the Face of African Fashion Week, I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the fact that, okay, they're saying, no, you don't have a great walk. No, you cannot articulate yourself very well. And mind you, in school, I also had issues articulating and verbalizing myself, even in class presentations. So I was very intrigued with the fact that, I got rejected again, but I think I have an aptitude to do this. I feel like I have some sort of capability to be on a runway or position myself and mold myself into what I started to envision myself as. So that's what really picked up the pace to cause me to push forward with this. And since that day forward, and that was April of 2014, that has been my pushing point to make me lead into that world-class supermodel that I want to become. So where do you think that resilience, that I can do this came from? Where did that come from?
So initially, I can tell you for a fact that my transition point was when, yes, I felt defeated. When I went to a very defeated point, I was seeking more. I didn't understand who I was, my purpose, my calling. I was an atheist prior to even, because I started to find God. So I was an atheist prior to seeking God, and I didn't understand the whole concept. But through my own personal relationship with him, I feel like that's when my inner confidence started to develop, and I was able to not only love myself, but love people in the process. And I can say that God was the one that emulated and made me understand this awareness.
So you have that moment of defeat, of rejection after you don't even place in this event. Where did you go next?
From that experience of defeats, within a couple of weeks, I started to Google, how do you get photo shoots done? And I didn't have a lot of money. I was working, but I didn't have the amount of funds to actually propel this career and finance it, right? So I looked up, trade for prints, collaborations. I would work with different photographers that were interested in my look. And some of them said, no, I'm not interested whatsoever. You don't have a book. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go forward with that. But I eventually started to build my book and build my repertoire, build my portfolio. And the following year, I actually was now a part of African Fashion Week. The first year, they didn't put me in because they said, no, unfortunately, I don't think you're at the level or the status that we need for such a show. But the following year, I proved myself wrong. So
you literally in that year worked what did you work on? Like, what were the things you worked on?
A lot of photo shoots. I worked on runway, a lot of volunteer runway. I had to build the confidence. I had to be able to now show myself on that runway and not be timid, because I knew initially in that competition why they said no is because the confidence wasn't there. Until you believe who you are, you're not going to sell it to who else is watching you. So once I did initialize that, and understood that, that's when I was able to now pick up the speed and do all these photo shoots, do all these runway shows. I eventually did some collaborations with like even bloggers and stuff like that, having my articles exposed, understanding, you know, what my journey was like, even though it was the fresh beginnings. People were interested. They were intrigued with the fact that, yes, Keisha didn't have an agency or isn't signed to an agent, yet she's still working hard and trying to push forward. 2015, that's again, I told you, the African Fashion Week, and it was a brilliant experience. A designer from UK named Adebayo Jones, he actually selected me to walk in that segment for the African Fashion Week, and I was surprised because he works with people like YSL and, you know, top designers. So for him of such a caliber to select me, it was such an honor, because I never thought that I could transcend so far in such a process and time span. So yeah.
So you do African Fashion Week.
And then, so African.
Then where did it go? You kind of went up and up and up from there.
Yeah, so African Fashion Week, I ended up getting my first feature in Vogue Italia. And
how did that happen?
Consistency. Consistency is really what births the fruits of greatness. I feel like consistency, determination, you know, understanding that you're not defined by your past, and use that pushing you, the momentum, daily affirmations, telling you, you know, you are beautiful, you are powerful, that you can exceed with excellence, that you have been designed with purpose, that you are royal. And royals, I don't know if you follow my page in regards to the whole message and what I'm trying to speak to my audience, but the royals is basically understanding that we're all kings and queens. And when you walk in that grace and that power and that understanding, you can really achieve beyond your own expectations. And when you can achieve beyond your own expectations, you're basically leaving it in the hands of, you know, the creator, and allowing yourself to explore beyond so much more and attain things that you thought you would never attain. And it's such a beautiful experience. Yes, from 2015, I went into more TV work. My first TV campaign or TV experience was an interview with Global TV. I was on, and then it went from Afro Global TV and more fashion weeks, more fashion shows, finally transitioned to Toronto Fashion Weeks. And then, you know, it just kept going on and on and on and up and up and up. And then the following year, actually, in 2016, I won, what was it again? Sorry, the Rising Star Model of the Year. And that was for the African Fashion Week organization. They have their own African Entertainment Awards and industry awards. And it's just like, how is that possible? And I look back and I'm so grateful, because it really shows you that you are limitless. You can really become all that you desire if you put your mind and your heart into it and go at it every day, chipping away at it. And then 20 years later, 30 years later, you are at a place where you feel satisfied because you know you've done something. So
you talked about winning that award, but I know you then went on to win.
Yes.
Talk about that. That's big.
So in 2017, every year I found that it was like a level up, another level up, another level up. 2017. So I'm sure everyone's heard of America's Next Top Model. Now the Canadian version is Supermodel Canada. And winning that was mind-blowing. That, I felt, was what catapulted me to be the national supermodel of Canada now, which will eventually launch me into the global supermodel that I'm aiming to be. And that experience, I didn't go in to win. I went in to learn. I went in there to experience. I went in there to just communicate with my peers, learn about their journey. I love being inspired by others. It's not always about yourself. It really isn't about yourself. It's really giving back and taking the time to learn and listen and hear. Talking too much allows you to kind of miss the understanding or the point of what's trying to be translated. But when you hear, I feel like you digest so much more, and you're able to now apply it to your own life and grow as an individual.
So tell me about that experience on Supermodel Can. What was the experience like? How many weeks was it? And what were some of the things that you had to do as part of the competition?
So there was 5 challenges. Each challenge had its own level of hardships, level of confusion. Like it's plotted to do that so that you can come out of your comfort zone, you know? The first segment, I believe it was the photo challenge where you had to transfer or mold yourself from the person of, you know, this a simple, easy look into the high fashion society model that the world wants to see. So they wanted to see how well you're able to mold and look and become that poised etiquette supermodel. Are you able to take on the character of that supermodel? And I guess through the process of elimination, when it got to the final challenge, they're like, okay, you know what? It's between, the second runner-up, which was Nova Stevens, who is doing phenomenal work in Milan right now, and myself. And I honestly I thought she was going to win. And to even be in that position where I won is just life-altering.
Describe that moment when they say your name. Nini Amerlise.
I was dumbfounded. I could not speak. I was puzzled. I'm like, are you guys sure that it was me? Are you? The words weren't coming out. Immediately, tears came from my eyes, and I glimpsed back to my childhood. I immediately glimpsed back to my childhood, like knowing that all these pains, all these challenges, all these hurdles, all these struggles of being teased and bullied, all made sense. Because without experiencing the fire, without experiencing the storms, without experiencing, the presses and the tribulations, how do you come out refined if you don't go through it? How do you come out like gold? How do you come out like a royal? No king is a king until they go through the series of challenges and testings. No queen is a queen until, she has to experience the lows to rise up to that elevation. So I felt like I was truly being honored to know that this journey was not by accident, but it all served a purpose leading up into that place. And that platform is not for myself, it's to give back and let other millennials like myself or people who are even older than me know that they can attain greatness if they keep proceeding on.
Did you feel beautiful in that moment when you were told you were a woman?
Yes, I did.
When do you feel in general? When do you feel most beautiful?
I feel most beautiful when I wake up every morning and I tell myself that I am loved, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And that statement, fearfully and wonderfully made, is actually from the Bible. And many people, when they hear it, it kind of just goes over their head. But to me, it means that you're great, that you're made for greatness, that you're marvelous, you're peculiar, you're unusual, you're not like any other. And you've been handcrafted, molded, and thought about. Like even thinking about the process of being created in your mother's womb, knowing that you weren't an accident. Even those who have been conceived maybe in a party or conceived outside of wedlock, the fact that you're living here today means that you have a purpose attached to your life and that you have a destiny. So nothing I feel is by accident, everything is intended. But when I feel beautiful most is when I look at the mirror and I tell myself all these affirmations, reminding myself that these are the things that had went on prior to me coming into existence, that I was a thought about creation. So, yeah.
You talked about purpose and knowing your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is your purpose?
My purpose is to develop self-esteem, to equip others with confidence and assurance of themselves, because that's what I lacked. Anything that I feel like everyone's purpose is attached to things that they have been struggling with. So whatever you feel that you have broken free from is what now you can give back to society once you've attained it for yourself. So I feel that that's what my purpose is, to give and help people through self-esteem issues and development of self-confidence and awareness and love.
So you win this huge competition. You really effectively become the Canadian supermodel. what happened next in your journey, or what's next in your journey?
From there, yes, I'm very grateful for all the exposure that I got in the media. You know, CTV, Glamour, Vogue, just numerous counts of features. But what happens next is that I want to be able to now have my own, or facilitate my own organization where I can equip models like myself, or not even just models, but just everyday civilians who want to develop self-esteem, build their confidence. I've initiated this program called We Are Royals. It's not quite launched yet, but it's in the process. It's registered and everything, and I'm excited to talk more about that in due time. But this organization, or this whole plan is, again, to put them through a development process, stages of, self-assurance, letting them know that there are people like themselves who are out there who have gone through similar situations, that have actually broken their barriers to achieve. So I want to bring in different guest speakers and, facilitators, teachers that can help them along their path. And at the same time, as they're walking along their path, be able to recognize that they're growing into this beautiful, confident king or queen as they proceed on this journey.
So for you, it's not just about girls, this is people.
People
Anybody.
overall,
And,
yes.
And is it people of color, or it's people?
Just people overall. I do want to help some of the young Black girls like myself at the time who were struggling. But at the same time, I'm trying to incorporate all diversity, because it's not targeted by race, nor complexion, nor skin color. I want it to be all diversity, because we all challenge through life with such things. We all have esteem issues, or not necessarily issues, but we think about these things all the time, whether we're dressing up, we're like, oh my gosh, do I look good in this? We have to get affirmations from through people until we feel beautiful. But I want people to feel confident in themselves prior to hearing what others say, because it's not all the time that what others say is the truth. Until you know your own truth, then how else will you become confident and aware in yourself?
So obviously you had huge success, but it comes with its challenges. What have been some of the challenges that you've experienced?
Well, sometimes definitely you'll hear doubts. Sometimes you'll go back and slide back and forget about the truth about who you are, and you'll hear the doubts of your past. You'll hear about, you'll begin to look at other people and see how far they are, and, desire the same thing, but everyone's road is so different. And if everyone's road is so different, why focus on their road when you're focused on yours? And when you focus on your road, you refrain yourself from the distractions, because the distractions will come. Day in, day out, we get distracted. Whether it's through social media, whether it's through friends, whether it's through family. But when you can actually find that alone time and recalibrate and let yourself, sink into that moment and understand, I'm okay. And I'm okay going through these challenges. And that at the other side, at the end of that road of that challenge, there is a solution. You'll be able to come out of it. Every day comes with its own challenge. Every day comes with its own issues. But not focusing on the issue, but looking for the solution is what the key is.
How do you take care of yourself? What do you do in terms of self-care?
For me, sometimes I get myself away from society. I go into my little sabbatical, and if I have to just meditate, I meditate on, again, positive affirmations. I'll write out things and desires that I have that I want for the future. I write out challenges that I'm currently battling. I even have a vision board. So I'll look on the vision board to, recalibrate and look at the things that I've planned initially. And if I'm, slipping off path, or if I feel like I'm not really targeted towards the goals, I look back on that vision board again and say, you know what, Nini, focus, tune back in. And then I pray, I talk to God, I commune with God. And through there, communing with God, I find like that's what's been actually my peace, the center of my peace. And as I communicate with God, everyone communicates differently. Like for me, like my journey with God is fairly fresh and recent. Like I started my journey with God in 2015. So
And what was it that triggered that? Because you said you'd been an atheist all your
Yes.
life. Then how did you go from being an atheist?
So what really triggered that is my extreme low that I faced in 2015. So I am very open to communicate and talk about this, but in 2015 I was raped. So when I was raped, I felt very isolated from everything. I felt like, I'm like, what, I should just die and commit suicide and, erase myself from existence. I was very frustrated. I could not stand the fact that, this had happened to my body, something violated my body. And now I have to go through the effects, the mental trauma, my spiritual trauma, and what's going on. So I really thought that there was no form of existence of a creator or something out there that was protecting me or guiding me through the path, But then when I really experienced my lows, when I actually conceived a child. I conceived the child, unfortunately, I aborted the child in the process because of my mental state. But through that, I felt alone, Even though I had family around me, I explained the whole situation to them, my family, my friends, but no one was really getting it. So you know what? I had made the decision to say, you know what? If there's a creator, I spoke it into the universe. I said, if there's a creator, prove yourself to me. I didn't understand it. So when I spoke those affirmations into the universe, I heard God. I felt an imprint on my spirit. I don't know if that makes any sense. I felt a wash of peace come onto my heart. And this suicide caused a lot of mental trauma. So that peace that came in, I knew that an answer had been spoken. And in that time space, I started to say, God, if you're real, help me on this journey, because I never got I never had an opportunity to connect with you before on this level. And day in, day out, I noticed that I could actually verbally hear him from time to time, but it was more of an impression on my spirit. He would say, tell this person that they're beautiful today, or give somebody a hug. And I'm like, wait, who's speaking? But it wasn't a voice. It was more or less an impression on my spirit. And that's how I knew that there was a creator beyond myself. I'm just the creation, and that there's a creator guiding this whole entire life and journey and process. And as weird as that may sound, that's what's been guiding me through this entire modeling journey. He led me to, opportunities that made no sense. How do I even attain it on my own? And it wasn't until 2017 that I got an agent, and the agent, helped me through. But it's just been incredible. And then, having management and now having assistants and all that stuff, all of that came together in its right timing. So, and then through learning about the Bible and reading the Bible, I wasn't consistent. It wasn't until actually 2018 that I started to read the Bible more and learn about, the truths. And when I began to understand, the past disciples and all that stuff, it actually was applicable to my personal life today. And it's interesting. And day by day, I'm learning more about, the Creator God and how He's just been transitioning me on this journey.
So talk about this journey and desires. What are some of your greatest desires for yourself? I know you talked about creating this, this platform and the work that you want to do. What else are some of your desires?
I definitely want to have my non-for-profit organization. So helping and assisting people who have been disadvantaged, even widows. My mom's a single parent, so I want to be able to assist people who are single mothers, single fathers, stuff like that. Babies who have been, don't even have parents. There's been lots of babies that have been tossed away. You find them in garbage cans and all sorts of stuff. So I want to be able to tap into that in the North American and African regions and simultaneously work back and forth and see where that can go, because I want not just rehab of the mind, rehab of the spirit, rehab of the body. All these factors are what makes up the composition of a human being. So when you tap into that, I feel that holistically the person will now be able to have an understanding of how to attain their destiny. And that's what I want to focus on.
You also have a career, and as we talked about a career that's on the up and up. What are some of your career goals and dreams from the modeling side of things?
I definitely want to be the face of Chanel. I want to be the face of Chanel. I want to Be the first Black woman for many magazines that have not had a Black woman on there yet. I want to be able to be a voice to them, through that career. That is the platform, that is the foundation that's going to be able to send out that message of self-growth, esteem, development, confidence in oneself. So I want to be able to bombard the fashion industry with my face, so that they get so used to a West African face of my look. Not everyone, they don't really put wide-nosed featured women on the cover of magazines, natural hair. No, it's very rare. It's either, a fair-skinned woman, which is more prominent, a Caucasian. Asian is even limited. So I want it to be more predominant and equal with diversity abroad. So I also want to build my own campaign of diversity. I want to have every look showing in this campaign. I want the freckled girl. I want the girl who's hips. I want the bald-headed lady. I want the broad-nosed lady. I want the white lady. I want everybody there to show the diversity of the entire world instead of just one beauty. Because when you predominantly see one look, then you naturally yield to want to say, oh my gosh, now I want to look like her. But when you have a different scale and variety of all diversity, then you feel more accepting of oneself because you can relate to what you see. And I find that the entertainment industry, the fashion industry, bombards our mind with one specific look or two. And it's unfair. It needs to be more open. It needs to be more broad. It needs to be truth, not falsified understanding of what beauty is. And beauty really is internal. But until you can show the diversity of the world, how can you feel that internal acceptance without the visual understanding? So that's where I'm coming from.
What advice would you give to a young girl who's looking at you and admiring you and admiring the career that you've had so far in modeling? What advice would you give them?
I want them to go through a process of understanding. Is this their dream? Is this something that they can push forward in? If they can understand, they have to understand that everything in life has challenges, trials. So they have to be able to recognize, can they push all the way through? Or is this something that's going to be temporary? If you aspire to be a model, if you aspire to be an actress, if you aspire to be a motivational speaker, anything that you aspire to do, you have to be able to write down, what's your purpose? What's the reason? What's the goal for what you're trying to achieve? So until that goal is written down, yes, I didn't know what my complete aspiration was all the way through, but within the first year, second year, that's when it kind of became clear that I wanted to inspire the generation about esteem, self-worth, feel confident in yourself. We are royals. So I would say just write down the goal, consistently work at it, outsource your contacts. From the contacts, execute. And execution, consistency. From consistency, you see the fruits of all your work that will be done.
Who are some people that you look up to or who inspire you?
I enjoy Oprah. Oprah has shared a similar experience where, she had been raped, but she used that driving fire to not succumb to her past, to accelerate her into her destiny. Everybody has an opinion of somebody, whether it's negative or positive, but I really look up to Oprah because she had built a network for her own self, a platform where she is free to speak. Yes, many naysayers said, no, Oprah, you cannot do this. I am not going to put forward with your vision or anything like that. But she said, you know what? I'm still going to push on. And that drive caused me and inspired me to also propel. Naomi Campbell in the supermodel diaspora, she herself had many challenges. As a dark-skinned woman, that's even more of a harder hit. Fair-skinned Black women had more success. But yes, they did have their challenges. I'm not neglecting that. But her as a dark-skinned woman, that was a rarity. There was very few, seldom supermodels who were black and dark-skinned, you know. But she pushed the envelope. She had become a world-renowned supermodel. People know her name. You don't even have to say the full name, and you know who she is. She gives back. She also helps with, you know, different charities. I love the fact that she gives back and she still owns who she is. Regardless of what anybody says, that she's, you know, all the slander that you hear. I know that her core is great. And I look up to that. You know, she had a message and I feel like, has impacted.
What's been your greatest failure and what did you learn from it?
My greatest failure, I would say, was succumbing to the lies of what my peers would say about me and bullying me for many years. So from the age of 4 up until the age of 22, I believed it. I believed everything that they say. I believed that I was ugly. I believed that I could not be great in life. I believed that I had a speech impediment. I believed the fact that I could not accelerate in school because they told me that I belonged in special education. I believed all those lies for quite a long time. That was my biggest failure. But when I shut that down, it blew my mind. I not only became a motivational speaker after saying that I had a speech impediment, after being told that, you know, you can't articulate yourself, you're too quiet. How can one become a motivational speaker after being told that? I knew that your mind had so much power, that the understanding of yes, you can, had so much power. You know, after being told that you're ugly, that your nose is so broad, you know, you look like a man. People told me that all the time. To now becoming a supermodel. How is that possible? I knew that the power of yes, you can really had a driving force within me, because how am I who I am today? You know, when I overcame the false realities of my past, I feel like that's what transcended me to who I am today, because I feel beautiful. I feel confident. I know I am a queen. You are a queen, my dear. And the many kings and queens that are watching on this segment, I hope that they're impacted and they're inspired, that they can also too attain their very destinies that they're called to be. Because it's a shame when many people just let their dreams and their careers to slip on by. I want these millennials to attain their very destiny, because I know I can, so they can too.
Let's talk about the motivational speaking. So you talked about how, you know, growing up, you were told you couldn't speak. And so why for you was being a motivational speaker so important?
For me, I don't know if I had mentioned, but I did not want to be a model. I did not initially want to be a motivational speaker, but it came with the territory. Eventually, people were now requesting me, hey, can you come speak at this event? Can you be a keynote speaker for this particular women's empowerment session? Or can you join us on a CTV panel and talk about, you know, what you've been through? Or, you know, just so much. And naturally, I realized, you know, if I want to inspire these millennials, I now have to speak. I have to be able to come outside my comfort zone. I can't just be a canvas where, you know, I'm a hanger. I have to now open my mouth and articulate and share my goals, my visions, and my love with the people, because the people is what makes up this world. It's the people that really drive life in its totality. So when you resonate and see and understand that people are the key source of what living is really about, and coming together as a community and unifying as one, then I had to really go into this territory, because that's how I could reach the masses.
What's been the biggest challenge for you as a speaker?
My biggest challenge is sometimes thinking that, you know, the judgment, worrying about the judgment, saying, oh my gosh, what if they think this, what if they think that? But you have to shut it down. Shut it down. When you shut it down, that's when you go back into what the reasoning is, why you began in the first place.
What's the best advice that you've ever been given?
To be yourself. It's as simple as that. To be yourself. It sounds very general, but it's really wholesome because being yourself is the best version of you. Not trying to put on a mask to be somebody else, not trying to be, what everybody wants of you, but really wholesomely being yourself is everything.
What are you most excited about? Because you've got a lot going on. You've just moved to LA. You're pursuing so many things. What are you most excited about right now?
I'm excited about the many propositions that I've received in LA in regards to even being a television host and dancing opportunities. I tapped into dancing. I've always loved dancing as a kid, and as I told you, I want to be a ballerina. So all forms of genre of dancing is like very intriguing to me. So I had a proposition that I can't really talk about yet because it's on the contract, but things that you and other viewers can watch online and watch on TV as well. So yeah.
It's exciting stuff. We'll keep watching. Mm-hmm. What do you love most about yourself?
I love the fact that I can giggle. I love to laugh. I love to make people smile. I love the fact that, if I smile, they smile. And that warms my heart. And I love the fact that I can communicate with people and people feel accepted and appreciated. So I think those are the main factors about me that I love so much.
And what are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? Not attaining destiny. That's my biggest fear, actually. My fear of not attaining destiny is what I fear from time to time. But destiny is not one night. Destiny is the road. So I shouldn't fear it because I'm on the road.
Profound. That is profound. What are you most grateful for?
I'm very grateful for life in itself. I'm grateful for my family, grateful for my boyfriend. I'm grateful for millennials. I'm grateful for pains, the tribulations, the process. And I'm grateful for the victories that comes after the challenges.
Now, this platform is called Ndini, which in my mother tongue means I am. And the reason I named it that was because I believe in the power of your words and,
yes.
and how you can shape your own destiny with the words that you use. So I'd like for you to finish this sentence for me. I am.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am a royal. I am a queen. I am made in the likeness of God, and I am here to impact generations to be themselves, to be bold in who they are, and become who they're called to be.
I wish you unbelievable success. It's so incredible to watch how you literally have just propelled. You've just taken off.
Thank you.
In it, as you say, for on the outside looking in, it looks like, in such a short period of time. But hearing your story, it's not a short period of time.
No.
You have been working and putting in the work. We just see the end result now with, all of the success that you're having. So I want to wish you the very best of success in your career as a model. You truly are an inspiration. I imagine there are many, many, many young women who will look at you and see you themselves in you. And like you said, seeing a representation of beauty that isn't something they've seen before. So thank you. And I want to thank you too for the incredible work that you're doing in terms of inspiring, your speaking, the foundation that you're setting up. And thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you? So I know you talked about you like being on Instagram,
yes.
and you share a lot of lives and a lot of stories. So where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle, and where else can they find you and find information about you?
So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can find me at Nini Amerlise. Instagram, that is Nini_4 and the letter U. And you can also look up more about me on my website at www.niniamerlise.com.
Nini, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. I know this happened very, you happened to be in town. And I was like, come on. So thank you. Thank you so much. I wish you continued success.
You're amazing, Queen.
Thank you.
Can I get a hug?
Yes.
I will hug her for sure. For sure. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. And we'll take a picture. Although, you know what? I'm always afraid of taking pictures of models because y'all know your angles and how to, and now I'm just like,
girl, this is me. You look phenomenal. You look amazing.